This movie starts with the part where Ami, the protagonist, recalled the memory of his childhood 26 years before, back when he was still living in Kabul, Afghanistan. He recalled his servant Hassan, who was also a good companion of his, if not a best friend. He recalled the time they spent together, flying kites, reading stories to his companion until the day they had a kite tournament going on. Amir, with the help of Hassan, won it, and things took an awful traumatic turn when Hassan was raped by Asif, Wali, and Kama, who obviously hated the servant just for one mere reason of him being a Hazara, a Mongoloid group of Afghanistan. To add more to the heartbreaking part, Amir saw it, yet due to his cowardice, chose to foreign oblivion, which later then made both Amir and Hassan to drift away from each other. It was majorly because of guilt, shame, and fear in Amir's behalf that pushed him to his edge, framing Hassan for theft on his expensive belonging. Even that, Hassan blindly took the blame despite being innocent, just for his treasured friend. Yet, in the end, both Hassan and his servant father left, even though Baba forgave them and pleaded them to stay.
The movie fast-forward to March 1981, where Baba and Amir have to flee the conflicts in Kabul when the Soviet army invaded and Kabul turned into a war zone. After the difficult journey, they arrive in Pakistan and from there journey to Vermont, California. Baba works at a gas station to support Amir and his livelihood. Meanwhile, Amir graduates high school. Baba and Amir sell things at a flea market on Sundays. There, he meets Soraya, the daughter of a formerly powerful general, for the first time, and later marries her. Baba then dies of lung cancer. Amir becomes a writer, and he and his wife discover they are unable to bear children.
Years later, Amir goes to Pakistan as Rahim Khan is sick. Rahim decided to tell the truth about Hassan to Amir as he knows that they used to be close. Rahim revealed that Hassan is his half-brother and Hassan had died in Kabul in order to take care of his old house. He also revealed that Hassan has a son named Sohrab. This led Amir going back to his hometown to find his nephew, disguised as a part of Taliban, wearing beard and mustache. Finding out that Sohrab is not in the orphanage, Amir discovered that Sohrab had been captured by an official. He later on goes to the official's house, not knowing that the leader's left hand is Asif. Asif brutally beats Amir for attempting to rescue Sohrab. He told Amir how much he hated Amir for being a coward and ran away from his hometown. Amir, who is unwillingly to be beaten up, stays still to defend Sohrab. Sohrab later on take a slingshot and shot one of Asif's eyeball, making time for them to escape.
For the following action, Amir and Sohrab went back to Pakistan and found out that Rahim Khan was already gone. The day after, Sohrab was missing and Amir went searching for him only to find that he went to the mosque to pray. Amir has also realized that after all these years he barely practiced Muslim life. When Amir thought that he lost Sohrab, Sohrab was actually on the staircase waiting for him. Sohrab then opened up saying he was scared, but Amir talked to Sohrab and assured him that everything would be fine and there was no need for him to feel scared. After all Sohrab went through, he even forgot his parents' face and traumatized by the incident. But then Amir showed him the picture of Hassan, and then Amir assured him again that everything was gonna be okay. For the resolution, Amir brought Sohrab back to California to live together with Soraya and her family as his nephew. Amir has also emphasized to General Tahiri that he cannot refer to Sohrab as Hazara boy anymore. Sohrab was quiet and did not speak until Amir brought him to the kite field. Sohrab then finally smiled when Amir tried to console him with the kite. With Amir's redemption, he finally feels his friendship with Hassan alive again. Amir even uttered Hassan's last words, "For you 1,000 times over," and ran to catch the kite for Sohrab. With that, he hopes Sohrab will have a better future in California.
The first issue is ethnicity, and currently this issue is depicted through the differences of ethnicity as well as social status between Hassan and Amir as Hazaras and Pashtuns. The difference of ethnicity also leads to social discrimination against Hazaras and Pashtuns. In the movie, we can clearly see that Hassan does not know how to read and depends on Amir to read books for him. Basically, Hassan did not have access to education like Amir, and the only option for them to be servants for Pashtuns. This issue is also raised by the event where Hassan was raped by Asif, but just because Hassan is a Hazara. So the social discrimination to Hazara has led Asif to believe that Pashtuns can do whatever they like to Hazara. So Personally, I have never encountered this issue in my whole life, but having said that, I feel that human beings are all equal despite their races, religions, and color. For me, I respect each and every different culture. Another issue is race in the movie is prejudice. Prejudice has its own connection with the context of ethnicity in Carolina. The existing prejudice towards Hazara in African community has become the main cause of Hassan not being admitted as Ami's brother. The social prejudice towards Hazara also has made the Pashtuns looking down at them just because their birth name and features are different. In the movie, even Baba did not praise Hassan directly as Hassan is considered a servant in the house. So sadly, Amir has also dealt with its own prejudice towards Hazara when Amir refused to help Hassan when he was raped by Asif, considering Hassan is just a Hazara, although they are friends. So besides that, after the Russian invasions, even Baba has its own prejudice towards the Russians and refused to be treated by a Russian doctor, where in fact we all know that one person cannot determine the whole community. So if Asif, Amir and Baba did not have this prejudice towards people's ethnicity, Amir would have been happy to acknowledge Hassan as his beloved friend, and Asif would not have the opportunity to downgrade Hassan just because there are ethnic differences. So this issue has affected me really hard, as I have my own battle with prejudicing other people's races. I used to think Bangladeshi are bad people and all, but in fact they're just trying to earn their living and have a better future. After all, prejudice and discrimination will only bring destruction.
Next, I wish to highlight the issues of friendship and guilt. Friendship is the issue or theme that most of its viewers will be able to capture right at the start of this movie. Basically regarding the friendship of Baba and Ali, Ami and Hassan. Just like Ami and Hassan, Baba and Ali are very good friends. While it's true that they have known each other since young and spent much time playing together, the difference in ethnicity and religious views get in the way between their friendship. It does not stop Baba from still viewing Ali as someone who is on a much lower level in the social pyramid that he is. It is Baba who breaks the friendship, for he has committed adultery with Ali's wife, resulting in her pregnancy with Hassan. This is revealed by Rahim Khan when Ami comes to Kabul on his call to make things right again. Ami, similar to Baba, is also a terrible friend to Hassan. Both Ami and Baba, in my point of view, do not deserve the loyalty of Ali and Hassan. This is because Baba, for fear of shame, does not rightfully claim Hassan as his own child, forcing Hassan to serve in his own father's home as a servant, not knowing the truth of his existence to the day he died. Not to mention, Hassan died together with his wife, for protecting the home of Baba and Ami, his own flesh and blood, who have not been as loyal a friend to him. Meanwhile, Ami does not even try to protect Hassan from getting sexually assaulted by Saif, though Hassan has briefly tried to protect Ami from the local bully before. Obviously, this pulls the strings in my heart and makes me wonder just how much am I willing to sacrifice in the name of friendship? What's my limit on the matter? Then on to the dominant issue of guilt. This issue runs deep in the story, from Baba to Amir, a generation to another. It is Baba's character who starts to feel the guilt, although in the movie this is discovered much later than Amir's guilt towards Hassan. Baba lives with the guilt for committing adultery with Ali's wife, fathering Hassan and not taking him as his own. Although he appears to be a man of his principle and respected by many, it is the generosity he pours into charity homes and kind treatments for Hassan that help him to feel a bit better for not acknowledging the boy as his own child, instead of clearly opening up and admitting to his mistake and dark past. Then, Amir also feels guilty towards Hassan for letting him get sexually assaulted by Saif, just so that he could obtain the kite and prove his worth in Baba's eyes. This guilt is the reason why he could no longer bear living with Hassan under one roof and the same ground, so Amir hides away his watch underneath a pillow in the servant quarter where Ali and Hassan live, and blames Hassan for stealing it. Personally, I feel that both Baba and Ami still do possess a moral character inside, as they feel the guilt from what they have done and carry the heavy burden along with them, Baba to his grave while Ami through his childhood, until he finally brings Sarah back safely. I feel that guilt is like a sensor. It is an affliction of pain to our soul that hits us directly, telling us that we may have done something wrong.
We've seen a few point of view about redemption in this story, which is from Amir's perspective and also Baba's perspective. However, we're going to focus on Amir's perspective. Amir's greatest struggle was to redeem himself to Baba for killing his mother since childbirth and for growing as a disappointing son who was unlike Baba himself. Later on, after Hassan's rape, Amir spends the rest of his life trying to redeem himself for betraying his loyal friends. And then this is also seen in Amir's return to Afghanistan and his attempt to save Hassan's son Sohrab. From my perspective, it is good to feel bad after making mistakes. It helps us realize that we can make it better by trying to make up for it. We do not only have our angel sides but also the demons. Therefore, it is very natural for us to do bad stuff. However, we should repent on it. And it do affects me a bit when Amir's trying hard to kick Hassan out of his house. I do feel mad because the rape's not going to happen if he's not being a coward. But seeing the grown Amir trying to redeem himself by trying to save Sohrab, Hassan's son, and it makes me feel like he's just a kid back then. It's natural for him to feel scared, and it's a good thing that he didn't turn evil despite all of that. It's a good thing that he's trying his best to become a better person. The second issue will be violence. The ultimate of violence in the story is rape, which occurs a few times in Kite. The first incident happened when Hassan is being raped by Asif and was witnessed by Amir himself. And then the second incident happens when Baba trying to save a woman from being raped by Russian soldiers during their way out of Afghanistan. And lastly, Sohrab's rape, which has never been shown in the movie. However, it reflects Hassan's horror and his role as sacrificial lamb. Hate, violence, and the fact that people use the brutality to show power. In the story, Hassan's being raped just because he is a Hazara and a servant, and the fact that Russian soldier asked for a woman even though he knows that she's a mother and she's a wife, this really disgusts me out. Rape is not something small. People should be ashamed that they're doing it or trying to attempt to do it. And I realize that we should know how to protect ourselves because even though this is a made-up story, rape is often happen in real life. We can't deny that today's situation, today's community, today's society tend to blame victims for being raped, and you ask for it. It's not something new that we hear every day.
Moving to the element of political unrest in Kite Runner, where we trace along Amir's changes and transition from a child growing older, we can see how the political surrounding changed as the character was also changing. The calm, serene Afghanistan where Amir was younger turned into chaos as he grew up, forcing both Amir and his father to flee out of their homeland for the fear of their safety. Furthermore, Hassan was murdered by the Taliban who took over Afghanistan. Asif was an adult with upper hand and positions in a political monarch where he indulged in this sadistic and sexual urge of his without any repercussion. More heartbreakingly, Asif took in Hassan's son and made him a sex slave, raped him and more, just because he had a position and role in the monarchy. Personally, I myself am not a fan of children, yet that does not mean that I would not be affected by injustice, especially when it's about children. A child with little to no control of the things around them, completely helpless against adult. It is heartbreaking enough to know that someone used his power as an adult and somewhat a ruler of place to take advantage on someone weaker, just like what Asif did to Hassan's son. Moving to the aspect of religion in Kite Runner, where the Kite Runner illustrates the many ways characters practice Islam, despite the way shown being either the right way or even the wrong manner, which is the main reason why I feel so strongly affected by this element. In the movie, Baba clearly is shown as someone that is not religious, obviously shown to be someone who against the kind of religion that get taught in school. When Amir tells him what he has been taught about sin, specifically that Islam considers smoking and drinking sinful, Baba dismisses that version of religion. It was stated that Baba only thinks that there is only one sin, which is theft, and the other sins are the variation of it. Baba is a Muslim only by his name, or maybe on birth certificate too, when he does not even practice his religion. Baba drank alcohol, which is obviously prohibited in Islam, and also openly mocks and questions the hypocrisy of Muslim leader. Sadly enough, the element of nitpicking in religion is not even foreign in nowadays society, where some people only practice and preach religion only in parts where it benefits them. It is honestly scary for me how the change of the world, the flow of it, makes such elements to be taken as a norm. This does not even exclusively about Islam as Muslim. We can also take an example from Christianity, where it is clearly stated in the Bible how fascination, which is premarital or extramarital sex before or outside of marriage, is considered a sin. Yet we can see how majority of Christians disregard and ignore that part while practicing other elements in their religion. For better portrayal of this topic and nitpicking closer to us, which is Malaysian Muslim, we can see how some of them are not even faced by adultery and fascination, some dating unmarried couples shamelessly spending nights together in the name of love or consent, while their religion is clearly written on their ID cards, Muslim, Islam. Some shamelessly frequent the bars and clubs. It is scary how in this modern world, majority of sin is considered to be a new norm.